Hey everybody, it's Dr. Eric. I'm going to teach you my favorite thing that will transform the way you eat with your family. And it's a 3-step process that I guarantee will make the biggest strides in your life that you can possibly think of if you just get these 3 steps down. So what am I talking about today? Which I think is the most important subject. We're going to talk about food labels today. So food labels aren't as cut and dried as you might think. You really have to be what I call a food label ninja to find your way around the food labels and know what you're doing. Because you go in the grocery store and you end up picking them up. You can't read them. It's dark in there. The light's really bad. And you think, did he say sucralose was bad or sucrose was bad? Well, what is it? And there's like a billion things that you have to know. But there's really not a billion things if you just really come up with these 3 things. So if you follow these 3 simple steps, it will, I guarantee, you'll end up with a product that's passable and maybe even great for you just by learning 3 things today. So let's go ahead and get right into it. The first thing that I want you to think about or read when you pick up a food label is what I call the big 3, okay? The big 3. If you can eliminate these big 3 things from your food, it will decrease your risk of cancer, heart disease, obesity, diabetes. It'll help you lose weight. It'll help you sleep better. It'll help your skin. It'll slow down your aging. Because the 3 things I'm going to give you have been shown to be really the worst things that we can possibly ever put in food. And here's what they are. And I'm going to give you some examples in a few minutes too, so you can actually see how you can apply this framework. And I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome. So the first thing of the big 3 is what I call partially hydrogenated oils. Partially hydrogenated oils. You could actually change that to say just hydrogenated oils. So anything that says hydrogenated oil, that's what's called a trans fat. And you've all heard of a trans fat before. You know it's bad for your heart. You know it interferes with signaling into your brain, so it can cause brain congestion, early Alzheimer's, senile dementia, increases the risk of heart disease because of the inflammation in the arteries. So no reason in the world you should be consuming partially hydrogenated oil. One of my daughter's first words when she was learning to speak was partially hydrogenated oil. So she would go to preschool and the kids would bring the snacks and my daughter would pick it up and she would say, excuse me, is there any partially hydrogenated oil in this? And if there was, then she would give everybody a lecture on how bad it was for you. So if you can avoid the partially hydrogenated oil, then you're going to be in good shape. And here's why. The only food that you would put partially hydrogenated oil in is going to be bad for you. Just as simple as that. The only food you would ever use, or the only thing you would ever put partially hydrogenated oil in is not a health food. It's your cookies, it's bad peanut butter, which I'll show you in a few minutes. It's Doritos, cakes, crackers, all the things that need shelf life. That's what partially hydrogenated oil is, okay? So that's number 1. The second thing I want you to watch out for is what we call serving size, okay? There's this serving size game that a lot of different food companies play, and they'll tell you, hey, you'll pick it up, and I'll show you one from a Rockstar energy drink in a few minutes, which looks like 1 serving, and there's something like 40 grams of sugar in there. But guess what? There's 2 servings in there. So they expect people to cut that up into 2 different servings, but nobody does. Everybody just eats, drinks the whole thing, and you're getting like 80 grams of sugar, which is absolutely insane. That's like diabetes in a can right there. So you got to make sure you read the serving size, and what I always try to go for is single-digit grams of sugar per serving. Okay, so single-digit grams of sugar per serving. So if it's a 1 serving size, it should have less than 10 grams of sugar, preferably a lot less than 10 grams of sugar. But if you have that rule of thumb, you're going to be in pretty good shape. And I'll show you an example of that in just a minute. And then the other one I want you to watch out for, and this is a huge one, and that's artificial sweeteners. So artificial sweeteners are the pink packet, the blue packet, the yellow packet, all of those. And you really want to avoid those because they're potent neurotoxins. They actually cause what's called glutamate, a chemical called glutamate, to leak out of your brain cells, and it actually causes this chain reaction of brain cell death. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't have any brain cells to lose, so I can't afford to eat any of this stuff. And I don't say never very often, but I absolutely tell my kids, and we live our lives by never, ever, ever, ever eat that, okay? And you'll see it in gum. And here's the thing, I don't care how bad my breath is, I'm still not gonna do the artificial sweetener because I need all the brain cells that I can possibly get. So these artificial sweeteners like aspartame and sucralose, which I'll show you, those are gonna be in your diet products or your sugar-free products. So you really gotta watch out for those, and they sneak them in a lot of different things, especially the gum and the low-fat yogurt and the sugar-free this or that. So that's step number 1. Is avoid the big 3. So partially hydrogenated oil or hydrogenated oil. Make sure you get the serving size right, okay? And then watching out for your artificial sweeteners. All right, those are the big ones that you got to watch out for. Now, the second part of the framework and which I like a lot, is really determining what's the worst type of sugar, right? So probably I'd say the worst type of sweetener would be artificial sweeteners like aspartame or sucralose or Splenda. But the worst type of sugar is going to be high fructose corn syrup. So high fructose corn syrup is the worst type of sugar that you put in your body. Your body literally does not recognize it as sugar, so your insulin goes crazy. And if your insulin goes crazy, it increases your swelling, your inflammation. It's the fastest aging hormone in your body, so you don't want a lot of insulin whatsoever. So high fructose corn syrup, no matter what the corn farmers of America tell you, is not healthy. It actually increases your risk of diabetes by a factor of 10 times if you're eating anything with high fructose corn syrup. So look at your types of sugar in there, right? And that's really one good thing that you can, that I think would be another good rule of thumb when you come to this C. It's corn, high fructose corn syrup. Anything that says corn or comes from corn is pretty much going to be bad for you. Modified corn starch is something that's almost like MSG. So if it says high fructose corn syrup or just corn syrup or corn syrup solids or modified corn starch, you want to make sure you get rid of that. So easy way to do that is no corn. Okay, and then the last one, and this one for me, I think these, if you just did these right here, I think you would be in really good shape, just these simple things. But the second thing I want you to look for, or the last thing I want you to look for, is if you can't say it, don't eat it. Okay, so if you can't say it, don't eat it, which is going to be all these different chemicals. The government has actually approved 3,000 chemicals to go in our food supply, which is absolutely crazy. So if you can't say it, it's a good rule of thumb not to eat it. Okay? Now, how can we take this framework, so you get rid of the partially hydrogenated oil, you get rid of the things that are high in sugar as far as serving size goes, and you get rid of the artificial sweeteners. Number 2, you want to look, make sure there's no corn ingredients in there. And number 3 is if you can't say it, don't eat it. So if those rules apply, I'll show you how easy it is to end up with the great things in your cart and leave the other stuff on the shelf. So I have a couple of examples here. One of my favorite ones, I need to start buying this stuff, by the way. I need to keep this just somewhere in a bag because I keep spending my good hard-earned money on these things to do the videos. So this will be the last Oreos I'll ever buy. I'll just keep these for the next 20 years because they'll actually stay good for 20 years because of the junk that's in here. So when I pick up Oreos, I'm going to look on the back. The first ingredient I see, okay, so the very first ingredient that you get is going to be the most plentiful ingredient. What do you think the first ingredient in here is? It's sugar. So massive amounts of sugar. Second thing is, and you notice I'm not looking at the top. Okay, I'm going to show you what to do with the top. I'm looking at the little small print that they hope you don't read down here. So the first one is sugar, and then you got enriched flour, which is bad for a whole other reason, but that's not on here. So even if you didn't know that, you'd still be in good shape. You read down a little bit further and you see high fructose corn syrup right there, high fructose corn syrup, and then modified corn starch, right? So we've already got the hydrogenated oil, we've already got the high fructose corn syrup in there, we've already got the modified food starch or corn starch, and then if you can't say it, don't eat it. There's about 3 things that I cannot pronounce in here, okay? One of them is, I can't even try to read that. It's some type of, something I learned in chemistry a long time ago. So if we go back to this and go, okay, if my daughter says, can I have some Oreos? I'm gonna look at this and go, there's actually, it says right here, hydrogenated oil, so it fails this test. It fails the high fructose corn syrup test. And let's just look at the number of servings in here. So the serving size per Oreo is 2 per Oreo box. So if you're gonna eat 2 Oreos, I don't know about you, but I don't eat 2 Oreos. I eat 2 handfuls if I was ever gonna eat an Oreo. So 2 Oreos has 13 grams of sugar, right? So it fails the test for serving size. There's more than 10 grams of sugar per serving size. And most people, let's say you had 4 Oreos, you're getting 26 grams of sugar, which absolutely fails this test. So pretty easy to leave the Oreos at home. And there's some other reasons as well. But I want you to think if you just memorize these, or even put them in your phone, put them on Evernote in your phone, take this out when you're shopping, and it'll keep you from putting this stuff in your cart. Okay, let's look at peanut butter. A lot of people have heard, well, peanut butter is good for me. It's a good fat. So you grab something like Jif. So if you look on the back of Jif, it has, again, fully hydrogenated vegetable oils, which is really, really bad for you, and about 5 things that I can't pronounce. So it fails the hydrogenated oil test, so you put that back. And the cool thing is you can make a lateral move, and the lateral move is just grab the organic or the healthy peanut butter next to it, which is just gonna have peanuts and salt. Whereas this one has about 9 different ingredients right here, including sugar as the actually first ingredient after peanuts is sugar and then molasses. So 2 different kinds of sugar. Okay, this is a big one because people think, all right, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. How am I gonna get through my day? I gotta report to the boss. I got a meeting after work. I need something to pick me up. So what do they grab? If not Starbucks, then the Rockstar energy drink. So let's look at the Rockstar and decide why that's a bad idea. And well, one good reason is they sponsor like skateboard tournaments. So most of that is like that's Mountain Dew and Rockstar and things like that. There's not a lot of organic foods that are going to be sponsoring those kids. So if you look on here, the very first thing, carbonated water, and then sugar, okay, which is obviously sugar, and then glucose, which is another type of sugar. And then you continue to read down there. Now, I don't see anything that says high fructose corn syrup. I don't see anything that reads partially hydrogenated oil or anything like that. So as far as these two go, I don't see anything like that. But when you get to serving size, let's go ahead and look at serving size. Remember the rule is you want to have single digits of sugar per serving size. This is 31 grams of sugar per serving. 31. And there's 2 servings in here. So you drink this whole can, you're getting 60 grams of sugar, which is just a highway to diabetes and obesity right there. So you gotta make sure you put down the Rockstar and grab something else instead, something simple. Now the neat thing in most grocery stores is you can get like some LaCroix spring water and add a little bit of stevia or xylitol, which we'll talk about in another video. But I'm giving you an idea of, okay, how I can make sure I'm not gonna pick this one thinking that, oh, there's not that much in it because I don't see any partially hydrogenated oil or high fructose corn syrup. There's several things that you can't say. And then it fails the serving size and the sugar test right there. Just one more, and then I'll give you a couple healthy ones. This is gum, and this is kind of my pet peeve right now, because anywhere where you grab gum, it's gonna have aspartame. And aspartame is an artificial sweetener, okay? So if you said, hey, Dr. Eric, check this out, tell me if this gum is good for me or not. I'm gonna turn it over. The very first thing it says is sorbitol, gum base, natural and artificial colors, which is not good. And then you have several things I can't pronounce. And then right there on the 3rd line is aspartame. Aspartame. Now here's what's crazy about this and really sneaky. If you read down further, it says xylitol. And if you know a whole lot about natural sweeteners, xylitol is actually a healthy sweetener. So they're counting on you picking this up and going, oh, xylitol, this must be good for me. And you're skipping over the aspartame right here. So if you're gonna get gum, really the only types of good gum, there's a few different brands that are out there. Here's one that I recommend. It's from Spry, and it's sweetened with erythritol and xylitol. Those are both natural sugar alcohols that have no impact on your blood sugar whatsoever or inflammation whatsoever. So the Spry gum is good. There's XylaSweet or XylaChew, and most of the time you can either get them on Amazon or you can get it at a health food store. So what I do is, you see, I'll get this on Amazon, and this has 600 pieces of gum in it, so it's gonna last me a long time because I chew gum a lot, and then the xylitol is actually good for your teeth as well. So I'm not getting the things that are killing my brain, and it's actually good for my teeth. Now let me show you how I look at bars. Now, when you have something like a Cliff Bar, it's chocolate brownie, and a Cliff Bar, you gotta understand, it was meant to be eaten when you're rock climbing, riding a bike, running a marathon or something like that. And I'll let you off the hook a little bit. If you're in the middle of a marathon, you can eat pretty much anything and your body can get rid of it, use it for fuel, and get it out of your body. But if you're just eating this in the middle of the day because you're hungry, that's bad news because of the things that are in there. So if I look at this, first thing you're gonna see here is organic brown rice syrup, organic rolled oats. So you're like, okay, there's a lot of things that are rolled or organic cane sugar or cane syrup, organic soy flour. So none of the things that I'm talking about there so far, right? So they don't have any of the partially hydrogenated. Instead, it says a bunch of things that are organic. But what it's gonna fail is the serving size test. So when you pick this up, it actually has 1 serving in here, and it's gonna be 22 grams of sugar in this. 22 grams of sugar, so you're gonna put this back. So you're asking me, well, what am I gonna use instead? So this is something you can get at actually Sprouts, the Kind Bars at all anywhere? So like if you see a Kind Bar, which is here in my pocket. So if you have a Kind Bar, you look in here, it says 5 grams of sugar, which is gonna be a much better choice. You turn it over the back, minimal ingredients. And I'm not saying this is the best ever bar that you can do, but it's gonna be a lot better than a Cliff Bar. It's got almonds, which is good. It's got honey. It's got a little bit of sugar, and then it's got milk powder, carob powder, and annatto, which is just a flavoring. So if you look through here, it's got 1 serving, and the one serving has 5 grams of sugar. So this would be by far the best one that you could get if you're at Starbucks or something like that. There's one that I like to use that's called a Keto Bar. And a Keto Bar is, you can order these at Keto Bars. I don't make any commission on them, but there's only 2 grams of net carbs. It's made by somebody literally in their garage. And if you look on here, total carbohydrates is only 6 grams. There's only 1 gram of sugar in here. And if you read the ingredients, it starts with coconut, eggs, baker's chocolate, whey protein, butter, vanilla extract, sea salt, and stevia. So pretty easy things that you can start making headway on if you just start thinking, okay, here's the 3. So what I want you to do with this video is go back and watch the part where I walk through this and write it down and start making this your own and saying, okay, if it passes this test, then I'm pretty much gonna end up with something great in my cart. And these are the things that we really want to teach you. You know, at Vive, we want to teach you how to think, because not a lot of us know how to think about the foods. We think, I need this bit of information and I got to ask somebody this, I got to look this up on Google. But if you can learn to think in these right algorithms and through these right frameworks, then I guarantee that's going to change what makes it into your cart and what makes it into your house and what makes it into your body.